All right, here with James Monroe, Coach John Mustain. John, first of all, last year all the way to Wheeling, you got to the state championship game, and man, you had some weapons on that team. Starting out with your quarterback, Layton Dowdy, 2,000 yards passing. I think he had 26 touchdowns. Did you kind of foresee that going in? If you remember last year, this time when we talked, you were just coming off the season with three guys, kind of a three-headed monster. Did you foresee the kind of numbers he would have?
I don't know that if anybody ever says that they foresee somebody doing something. I don't know if they're just saying that or they really think that. I definitely knew he had the capability of doing that, and we had a pretty good receiving core last year, so I'm not real surprised by it.
How big of a factor was that in what you were able to accomplish at the end of the day? Because I think you probably could almost pencil down Cooper Ridgeway for 1,000 yards again, especially with the kind of line you had coming back. But how big a factor was that passing game and getting you guys not being just a good team, but a great team?
Well, I think generally speaking, the great teams are going to be multifaceted, which we were last year. We've always been a team that probably, if you look over our history here at James Monroe, we've had a lot of really good running backs. And that's not to say that, obviously when David Witt was here and we were running single wing, it was predominantly run. But even when Coach Jackson was at the helm, it was, probably leaned a little bit more toward the running game, but he liked to air it out too. So it definitely benefits you if you're just a one-dimensional running team. Teams are going to start stacking the box on you, and it's going to be hard to get out of.
Well, did you end up passing more than you thought you would? I know in the Midland Trail game, if you look back to that, you were heavy run in that game. I don't think you passed more than 10 times that game, and it was cold and a little wet, I think.
I'm one of those that if I can, do
you'd rather run the ball than throw it around.
4 or 5 yards in a cloud of dust, that's fine with me, because the thing of it is, if you're going to be that way, you've got to finish. And we've had some teams in the past, first or second year I was coaching here, we had a team that, would accumulate a lot of yards, but then we got down around the 20 and stalled out. So you got to be able to finish if you're going to be that type of team. But yeah, it's important, like I say, to be able to do it. I think Kelly Mann really helped us out a lot, because I kind of turned the passing game over to him. If that makes any sense, I've kind of got a running offensive coordinator and a passing offensive coordinator, but it seems to me to work really well.
Run game coordinator, pass game coordinator.
Really, and it seems to me to work fine, and we all get along with it. And if there's a situation where I don't want to throw the ball, I'll tell them that. I want to run play.
So you got the final say on the play.
I've always kind of looked at myself when it comes to coaching football as sort of a facilitator. I've got the people that I want in place, Jason Goodman on defense and so forth, and then I come up with what I want our scheme to be, and they recognize what it is, and they I leave the play calling up to them. And of course, if there's a situation where I want a certain play called, I'll say, let's run this. But I give them a free hand at it. I never have. I don't think I'll ever be accused of being a dictator.
I want to get to Cooper Ridgeway, but what does it say about your team that you could have a first-team All-Stater miss 7 games, and you still end up, running for the? I think you ran for over 4,000 yards, or close to 4,000. You passed for 2,000. It was up around that area.
It definitely gives me
3,000, I think.
It definitely gives me hope looking back on the games that Brady missed last year, and knowing that we had people that could fill in and still do a really good job, because those kids are back. The ones who had to fill in here and fill in there. So it gives me a lot of hope for this year, because I keep saying we've got a good nucleus, a good core coming back. But some younger kids are going to have to step it up, and some of them did that last year. There's several of these kids coming back this year who weren't starters, but they did get significant time, and I really look for them to do some positive.
Well, I think that would be the main thing, because you got you if nothing else, you got some depth out of that.
Yes, exactly.
And then with Cooper, 1,000 yards kind of just seems to be his moniker now.
Yeah.
Is he more of a leader now than he was when he came in?
Of course, I wasn't here his freshman year, but this will be the third year I've been with him, 10th through.
You had to play without him because he got suspended.
That
didn't you?
first game of my first year back, we definitely missed him that night. But I think he's had leadership ability the whole time I've had him for 3 years. I mean, he's never been one of those kids who kind of sits back and is not vocal because he's a sophomore and there's seniors on the team, juniors on the team ahead of him. He's never been that way. I think he's always had that leadership quality about him.
You kind of expect. He says he doesn't have goals like 1,000. His goal is get 100 and whatever else he can in the game. And it seems to work well for him because he generally gets 100 and whatever else he can in the game. Do you think that works for him? A lot of running backs say I'd like to get 1,000. Seems like he's not really thinking about that.
Well, the thing I like about that type of attitude out of him is what I try to tell my players all the time. You've got your eventual goal, but you've got to take it one step at a time. And, for him to say, I want to get 100 yards in the first game, and then after that he's going to focus on the second game, that's the way I want these kids to be. You can't look forward to this game or look forward to that game. You got to take the one that's right in front of you first.
He takes it pretty hard when he doesn't get 100. He kind of indicated to me that he does.
If he does, he's never shown it to me. I don't really see that out of him.
Maybe it's just something he kicks himself
about. If it doesn't happen, he's probably more upset with himself than anybody else.
Well, that's what I mean. He's upset about himself not getting
it.
That's what he meant. I'm mad if I don't get it, then I feel like I've done something.
Yeah. But
he never did say it was his lineup. Like he said, it was him,
right,
not.
Right. He's that tight.
You will just obvious. This is kind of a goofy question, but I mean, you might have guys in his stead. Losing Eli Allen, obviously, I won't even say will it. It's going to be that'll be a loss for you.
Oh yeah, I mean he's a heck of an athlete, but
will that hurt the passing game?
I don't know. I mean, Eli was extremely reliable. Another thing that helped Eli was his athleticism and his height. And there were several catches he had the last couple of years where he literally came over somebody's back and reached over and caught the pass. We're not necessarily going to have that this year.
Ryan Mann, a kid that can step in.
Ryan Mann's is one that we're looking at.
So, I mean, maybe
he's one that we think maybe he can step in and fill that role. Of course, we got Chaz Boggs back. Right. We lost Brady Carr, who was another very multi-talented, good running back and a good receiver.
Well, will Cooper Ridgeway figure more in the passing game then?
Yeah, maybe more of the short game.
Yeah,
maybe more of the short game, and he did last year too.
He says sometimes in practice he runs routes with the.
He definitely does. Yeah, I mean he's somebody we could stick out there if we needed to and be a pretty reliable receiver.
All right, hey John, I appreciate it and looking forward to the season.
All right, thank you, Dave.